I should send you all one trumpet.
All right. Good evening, everybody. This is Rena from Free Tree Society. And with me, you can see above on the screen, is our favorite friend, Dr. Chan Zi Yang, phytochemist.
Hello.
And of course, uh, to me, it's like biodiversity extraordinaire because thanks to him, I believe not just me, but many of you at home have also learned so much more about Malaysia's amazing biodiversity in all sorts of different types of habitats. Today, in our second part of the Wild, Weird, and Wonderful series, we will continue our exploration into Cameron Highlands. Yes, it's not just popular because of the strawberries, okay? There are so many other things about Cameron Highlands that's so amazing, so weird, wild, and wonderful, and like maybe it might just prompt you to make a visit there and explore on your own. So today we're going to be talking about the
The
animals
animals. Yeah.
of Cameron Highlands. So take it away, Dr. Chan.
All right. So let me start sharing.
All right.
And okay. So before that, let's look at our angel's trumpet yesterday. And indeed, it has bloomed. Can you all see?
Wow.
Yeah, there it is. So it has bloomed overnight. This is the Bergsmansia candida, remember? This is actually
Yeah.
the rarest trumpet in around Cameron Highlands. It's a lime white angel's trumpet. Now, we do have a question actually yesterday that we forgot to address. It is whether or not it is safe to smell or sniff this plant, right? Well, the answer is yes, it is safe because the toxins, remember the alkaloids, atropines, and the likes, they are not volatile. So they will not then get absorbed into your lungs and things like that. It's not going to happen. But if you touch the plant then do remember to wash your hands afterwards because you wouldn't want to then touch your eyes and have the alkaloids absorbed. Then you become blind as a bat. Okay? So here's the angel's trumpet. I'm very pleased that it's flowering for us. So one last look at it. Yeah.
So what does it smell like? Can you describe the smell of that flower?
Oh no, you have to go up Cameron Highland to experience it because it's too nice. I'm not, and no words can describe just how nice a trumpet smell is. All right. Okay, so that's it for our follow-up yesterday. So good evening, people. Welcome back to the Cameron Highlands. Cannot share. Okay, and to the cloud forest, the misty mountains, and it's almost like going back in time to this age of dinosaurs with all these tree ferns and conifers. So, what kind of animals reside here, we may ask. So now let's begin with this one here, this caterpillar. So count yourself very lucky because this is the very few photos of this particular species alive. You won't even be able to find it from Google image. So what kind of butterflies or moth do you think this is? Any idea, Rina?
No,
Well,
but I
I'm
want to
gonna
touch
limit
it.
down your choices. It belongs to
Oh,
this
atlas.
silk moth family Saturniidae. So one of these. These four are the most predominant and the most common ones around Cameron Highlands. We have the atlas moth, iconic, largest moth in the world. We have the moon moth, okay, with its long tail. Now this is a female. The male is even more impressive. We also have the golden emperor moth here, top right, and then the true silk moth inferior. Which
Wow.
one do you think it is? Now we're going to answer that, but now let's talk a bit about the silk moths. The silk moths are generally large and showy, and they do have a unique characteristics, which is this. They have this semi-transparent membrane on their wing that looks like a fake eye, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that's called the hyaline window. Now I can show you this hyaline window and we look at how it really is. So let me stop sharing for now. Can you see that? This is the moth, okay? This is the moth and I'm gonna show you to view this world through the hyaline window of a moth. See that? This is the size and this one is a bit tattered, but then still, I hope you can see through. Can you see? Can you see
Wow.
me? So this is a semi-transparent membrane of the silk moth. Very impressive. So why do you think this moth would evolve this kind of semi-transparent fake eyes? Why?
Something to do with light reflection? I don't know.
Okay, maybe because the real thing is nobody has truly experimented on these hypotheses, so we don't really know. But here nowadays we have AI, so maybe I'm going to show you the hypothesis I favor. So imagine if you are a lizard or a bird and you try to, you see this moth and you try to eat it from afar. If it's startled, it may move the wings and you see something quite like this. The fake eye may actually be disguised as or pretend to be a larger bird or owl or something that dissuades the predator from attacking it. So this is one hypothesis, okay? Or it diverts the attention of the predator away from the body parts, the head of the moth, and then it might work as well, okay? We don't know exactly what's the reason, but maybe this is it. Now, the silk moths, all of them, has made the ultimate trade-off between longevity and reproduction. Remember our last talk, we talked about this male fiddler crab with its impossibly anti-survival big claw, right? The silk moths have taken it one step further because all of them has lost the ability to drink and eat. They do not have a functional mouth part. Yeah, the moths do not have a functional mouth. In fact, the mouth parts, okay, where butterflies used to sip nectar, right, has gone vestigial. It has been completely degenerated. So the moth, they do not drink and eat. The sole purpose of these silk moths, Atlas moth included, is to fly around, find each other, mate, lay eggs, and then die. That's the sole purpose of the moth. You can think of them as this flying sex organ. That's it, yeah, people. It's true. They have made the ultimate trade-off. Okay, so whatever energy that is left in the moth is accumulated when it was a caterpillar. So this goes to show that evolution, it favors reproduction and passing down of the selfish gene. So your body or the moth's body is really just a survival machine. Okay, so this is the trade-off it has made. Now, the silk moths are famous for making this strong silken cocoon, which we humans have learned to harvest, and it's really important to human history. But have you ever wondered what makes up silk? What is silk? Okay, so the caterpillar eats leaves, and leaves contain proteins, and basically silk is a modified protein, modified by the caterpillar. So if we have a silk strand, you can think of it as this electric wire. So inside the wire, we have long conductive strands, right, of proteins called a fibroin. And it is protected by a sheath of another protein called sericin. Sericin means silky. Okay, so in silk strand, we have two types of proteins, fibroin and sericin. Okay, so in the fibroin, the innermost protein of silk, it is made up of amino acids. Remember, amino acids makes proteins. And there are two primary types of these amino acid chains. One is crystalline. You know what is a crystal? You can think of it as a diamond. So a crystal has a very ordered arrangement of atoms or molecules. So this type of amino acids, they are crystalline and they are strong like a diamond. It gives the silk strength. But in between these crystalline amino acids, we have these wishy-washy strands of amino acids, which are amorphous, and they can stretch. So that gives silk elasticity. So that's why you hear scientists often claim that silk is stronger than steel, is because it has this tensile strength. It's not only strong, but it's stretchable. And all these amino acids, fibrins, sericins, they are held together by a force of nature called hydrogen bonding. Okay, so if you ever boil water before, you're not destroying the H2O bonds, right? You are breaking the bonds that hold these individual water molecules together. So once the hydrogen bonds are broken, water becomes a gas. So the similar type of bonding holds the silk together and makes it strong. And that is why, when people harvest silk from silk cocoons, what do? They boil the cocoon, right? So that is to separate the sericin from fibroin so then you can pull the individual strands out. Okay, and inside the caterpillar's body, different silk glands produce fibroin and sericin. So fibroin is produced near the butt of the caterpillar and sericin is in the middle, and they mix together and form this silk strand, which extends through the spinneret, which is the silk organ at the mouth of the caterpillar. So you can think this spinneret like a nozzle containing two holes. So a strand of silk fiber actually has two fibroin strands. Okay, so this is where it gets interesting. Have you ever wondered why, when the silk is in the caterpillar's or the spider's body, it is a liquid, but then as soon as it exceeds the mouth or the abdomen, it becomes a solid, almost like frozen instantly? How can that be? Now, this looks daunting, but believe me, it's very simple. So inside the caterpillar's body, the pH is neutral. It has to do with the pH or the acidity of the environment. Remember just now I told you that the silk has these crystalline fragments that make it strong. Okay, so there is this mechanism that prevents premature crystallization of the silk. So if it doesn't crystallize, it remains liquid. So we use that, so the caterpillars use two types of amino acids here, aspartic and glutamic acids, which are water soluble. Okay, they use water-soluble amino acids to regulate this crystallization process. So when the pH is neutral, these amino acids, these two, actually has negative charges. So negative repels. They repel each other so that the amino acid strands cannot come together to form those crystals. However, as they exit through the mouth, it becomes acidic. Acids basically positively charged hydrogen atoms. So it neutralizes the negative charge. The negative charge is gone. And then these crystals, they can come together to form hydrogen bonds to form very, very strong silk, which is solid. That is called polymerization. Okay, you get the idea. It's interesting. This is, imagine the mechanism, the aeons of evolution that has gone into this, and it's widely studied. Okay, so here you can see they have characterized the entire protein inside the silk. So here you see it's blue and an ultramarine, and here you see that orangey thing, that is the negative charge. So at pH 7 it repels, but in pH 6 it becomes acidic. They come together and dimerize. In this case, they form locked together. Okay, so this is how silk turns from liquid to solid. Same it is in caterpillar and spiders. All right, and silk is not just strong and flexible, it is also biodegradable and compatible. So nowadays, a lot of smart people working on this. We use silk as a scaffold, which your body can accept to rebuild damaged tissue, including the eye, blood vessels, cartilage, whatnot. We can even wrap drugs inside this silk and then deliver it like a smart bomb to cancer cells or organs or whatever in the human body. Now, we also have very innovative products like this one here. Injectable silk implants to help those people with damaged voice cord or eardrums. Okay, very promising. And we ought to think about more sustainable ways to harvest silk, as we'll see. So yeah, here's the answer. Remember the moth just now, the caterpillar? It belongs to this species, the true silk moth, which is quite common around Cameron Highlands. But despite that, its full life cycle has never really been documented until now. So I'm very lucky to be able to host this species. I'm going to share it with you. So thanks to my friend around Cameron, they found me this moth, this female moth, which has deceased actually, but then it has laid eggs. So, curiosity, we will host the eggs. And from the eggs, the caterpillars hatch. And you see the first instar is like the zebra markings. We don't know why. Maybe it mimics poisonous ants or beetles, I don't know. But then after the first molt, it becomes green. It relies on camouflage. And from this stage onwards, it really is just an eating machine. So it just eat and eat. They grow quite large and fat. And then the matured caterpillar, it actually has blue spots in its tubercles on its body and these remarkable silver plates just above the spiracles you see here. So this seems to be a characteristic of the antheria or silk moth caterpillars. Why do they have these kind of characteristics? I have no idea. Okay, and then after that, they form this cocoon and then they eclose. Now you see, right after the moth ecloses or emerges from the cocoon, can you see the hyaline window? It is actually covered by thin scales, which then falls off to give this transparent window. That is a very beautiful moth. But then it only lasts 10 days. Okay, so after 10 days, gone. Okay, I have many more actually, and then we managed to breed some of them and release them. So I have tabulated the life cycle of this species, and you see it really spans half of its life as a caterpillar and pupa, and only 10% each as an egg or moth, right? So be lucky that you are not a moth, goodness. But then who are we to judge, right? They are also very successful. That's evolution. Now, the silk moth brings us to an interesting aspect because in parts of the world, like in India, okay, they actually keep and cultivate these Antheria species to produce a type of silk called tussar silk, which is non-violent. So they do not kill the pupa, right? So about 400 of these caterpillars here, they cultivate it, can make a sari, as we'll see, and they keep these caterpillars on these hanging branches, and once they pupate, make the cocoon, they will strung it up in string, and then they allow the moths to eclose. They are not killed in the process of making this silk, right? Then the spent cocoon will be boiled and pulled into strands, woven into yarn and interwoven to make this beautiful piece of fabric. You can watch this video, it's really inspiring. So perhaps in this age where we consider more of animal ethics, this is the way to go. Okay, so Antheria, some lessons there for us to learn about. Now, moving on to another group of animals which make silk, and for a completely different purpose, to catch prey. So spider silk protein is not fibroin, it's something like fibroin, it's just stronger. It has even stronger amino acids, which is also flexible, okay? It's called spindroin, but you can think of it, the mechanism is more or less the same. So here in the Cameron Highlands, in the mountains, we have two unique spiders, okay? Which are montane endemic, and they are day active. They make this giant orb web to capture flies and butterflies. So we start with the one on the left. It's called the globulate spine spider. And this one is quite rare, okay? I can count the people who've actually seen this one with my fingers, okay? So the reason why it's rare is not because it's, uncommon. It's rather because it's, at least based on my experience, this species is a submontane to montane specialist. It's only found in the high mountains. The reason why it's called the globulate spine spider is because if you look at its abdomen here, can you see these spiny projections? And on the spiny projection, it seems as if there are globules of liquid coming out, right? You see that? Globules. We don't know why, okay? And this is the unique characteristic of this species. In fact, the species is so unique, scientists, or at least arachnologists, currently classify it in its own species, in its own genus, which seems to suggest that this is unlike anything else, okay? But then I challenge that notion because, at least based on my preliminary research, it seems that this is an ambiguous taxon that needs more research. It may be very related to this species or this genus here on the left, which is macro photographers' favorite. They all know this. It's called Macracantha aquata, the arcuate spine spider, and the globulate spine spider may be more related to each other than we think. And we certainly need more research in this direction. Hear me out. And there are many different species and genera of spiny spiders, as you can see here. So why would you think a spider look like a Christmas candy, right? It almost looks like some condiments, right? Why? So remember I said that this spider is diurnal, so it's day active. What kind of predators do you think will eat this kind of spiders? Birds or visual predators, right? So they evolved this kind of spiny projections maybe to deter birds or even wasps from preying on them. And it is a very successful strategy. That's why these spines, they have evolved and they diversify, and then we have all sorts of spiny spiders. And the most marvelous one really is in the high mountains. Now, moving on to this other one, it's called the cross spider. I'm going to explain its name later, but you know why it's called a cross spider? It's because when the spider is resting, and in fact 24/7, all the while when the spider is not stressed out, it will just, cross its leg like this, like Jesus Christ cross. Okay, that's why we call it the cross spider. And it's even more remarkable because you see the web. This is a web, right? Can you see that zigzag pattern? Okay, that fuzzy silk. This group of spiders, the cross spiders, are particularly good at making this kind of weird decorations, weird decorations on the web, okay, which puzzled us scientists for a long time until now. Why would you think the spider make this kind of weird silk which cannot capture insects? It's not sticky. Why? Now, this is called the stabilimentum, and we don't know why. Okay, there are many hypotheses as to why this particular group of spiders favor this kind of web design. One is that it may be stabilizing the web against the wind or the rain or the elements, or it may reflect light and then lure insects. Maybe, or it serves to break the spider's outline against its background, that is called disruptive camouflage, or this is actually my favorite hypothesis. It creates an optical illusion to trick you and me. Okay, now we got to watch this video because we have to combine the behavior of this spider together with the web and your imagination to see how it works. Now let's watch this video. We have the spider at the center. Can you see when I disturb the spider, what does it do? It shakes. It's like having a seizure. Not because the spider is scared, but this is the behavior of the spider. Why do you think this spider, when you disturb it, is like shaking? Why? Why do you think that happens?
Show of
When
aggression.
combined, when combined with the zigzag webs, right? Okay, it blurs up and the spider looks so much larger than it really is, right? It's just like, wow, this spider is so much larger and more vigorous. So that may then dissuade the predator from attacking it. And again, this is a day active spider. So visual predator, maybe optical illusion will work on them. Now, let's move on. Remember the rainwat's cross spider? Yeah, so here it is. It's named after this historical figure who is a Dutch botanist, Casper, and who founded the oldest botanical garden in Southeast Asia in 1817. Okay, so this is a Dutch botanist who loves spiders and is commemorated in the species found in the Cameron Highlands. And this guy is like me, you know, he's not just into plants and spiders, he's also into snakes. So you know what this snake is? He has also described this snake about 200 years ago. So the sunbeam snake and the rainwat's cross spider, they're more or less related. Weird and wonderful, isn't it? And this one is a lowland species. We'll talk about it next time. This is very interesting. Right, more spiders from the high mountains. Now we start with this one on the right. This is called a huntsman spider because it doesn't make a web. Okay, instead it is an ambush predator. If prey walk by, it will just snatch the prey. Okay, very voracious one and quite large as well. So if you go night walking around the roads, old roads and mud banks around Cameron Highlands, you will likely see this one. It's very, very common. Okay, the huntsman spider. But guess what? This is a bombshell. This is a new species recently described 2 years ago. Yeah, new species. We always think of new species being these rare and hard to encounter. But when you go into the world of arthropods and when you go into the montane forest, that's not the case. New species can literally, if you read this paper, be described off the roadside. And that brings a very powerful message, isn't it? So if we're not careful and we destroy the montane habitat and all this, new species can go extinct even before we know it. And in this case, this huntsman spider, it has this distinct color dimorphism, which means that the male and the female look very much different, like this one here. In fact, I'm not even sure if the photo on the right is the male of this species, actually. It may be a juvenile, maybe completely something different, I don't know, okay? So yeah, and more new species here. So this one is very common. If you go around Cameron Highlands, you see this funnel web, this tangled webs, right? So inside there is a spider waiting for its prey, and we usually call it the funnel weaver. And I tell you, no one knows exactly what species this is. We can best guess its genus or family, but really, this is very likely a new species or under-described species that you are looking at. Very common, but again, we don't know its exact identity. This is really what's wild, weird, and wonderful, people. So on the left, we have the female, and on the right, we have the male. Okay, that's the funnel weaver. And if you remember my previous talk, I think 2 years ago, we do talk about the funnel web. And this is another one, totally unrelated, but you see, they converge on the same kind of web to capture their prey. So again, these are all understudied taxon, potentially with many new species. But in science nowadays, in taxonomy especially, it's very hard to just publish one new species. We have to do a comprehensive comparison of different similar-looking species all together to have a more, comprehensive systematics of the species. So if you know more about this or if you're interested, then do get in touch with me or us. Now, no talk of Cameron spiders would be complete without this one. Remember, we talked about it a little bit last time. This is the living fossil spider Lyphistius. And based on fossil records, okay, this spiders like this have existed, I think, at least 300 million years ago during the Carboniferous period. And you can see this spider is really primitive and unlike any other. Look at the abdomen. It has these plates, right? Like a scorpion, okay? It's unlike any other. And the reason why it's called a trapdoor spider is because the spider excavates a burrow in the mud bank, and then it constructs this trapdoor and then line it up with silken trip wires. Okay, you can see the trapdoor. So when an unfortunate insect or naughty people like me go and touch the silk wire, the spider darts out and ambushes it. You can see how voracious the spider is, isn't it? It will bite its prey and inject venom. Yes, it is venomous, but it's harmless to humans. And what's remarkable is that the spider remembers how to go home. It has poor eyesight, so how it remembers its way home, I don't know. But then this is remarkable as well. So here we have seen many different uses of silk, right? You can make an orb web, you can make a funnel web, and you can also, in this very primitive way, use silk as a prey detection mechanism. So this is prior to prey capture. It's amazing. All right. Now, here's a challenge for you. I have a 4 by 4 square feet habitat on the mud bank, and there are many, many trapdoors here. So how many can you see? Is it 3, 5, 7, or 9? Okay, you have to squint, but then I will come back to this later. Okay, when I'm preparing for the demo, you can have a go at this. Now, this is the sad part. All that you just saw have all gone extinct, or they're all dead because of this too, because of invasive species, because of landslides, and the spiders, they have nowhere to go, and they died out literally on the street. Yeah. So this is the sad case of Cameron Highlands. Again and again, we see uncontrolled development, human development, that has a lot of unforeseen implications for these spiders. And mind you, these trapdoor spiders are very long-lived. One spider can live for a decade, if not 2, inside its burrow. And if this happens, then the whole community will be gone. Yeah, and it's not easy to keep these spiders ex situ, and I've tried that. They don't do well. They easily stress out, especially if you dig it. So that's why we don't like to see poachers around here. We will dig the spider out. It stresses the spider out, and they die in captivity. So the only way, as far as I know, to conserve or to protect this remarkable living fossils which has existed 300 million years ago is to protect its native habitat, to protect the native plants and everything that goes with it. So we really ought to think about our actions up there, people. All right. Now, moving on to the lizards now, nothing to do with silk. And we do have many montane endemic lizards out there in the Cameron Highlands. Not sure you've seen this one before. It's called the Robinson's dragon, Malayodracon robinsoni. Okay, we'll look at who Robinson is soon enough. And according to its original description, this is a remarkable form unlike anything previously described. And indeed, it is so unique. This is a truly monotypic genus. So it is one that belongs to its own lineage of itself. Why? Because you see here, in the throat of the lizard, you see this large gular flap, okay, this flap of skin that extends to its chest. This is quite unique among lizards. And then this flap, as far as I know, it can actually retract and expand like that of the, the Draco, the flying lizard. Okay, that's very unique. And this is where it is named. And actually he was named, Herbert Robinson, who was a zoologist and then a bird expert, who was also the museum director when we were Federation of Malaya. And if you've ever been to Cameron, this is Robinson's Fall, people. So the same Robinsons of Robinson's Fall is also the Robinsons of Robinson's Lizard. So you imagine how much our, colonials, they contributed to the early science of our nation. Okay, commemorated. And okay, so this is how the Robinson's lizards, when you usually encounter them in daytime, they come out and they chill out and they warm up under the sun. So they may appear darker and they're very alert and timid. So if you approach them, they will just scurry away. So what do you think they do at night? And in fact, it is at night when you're most likely to encounter them up close. Well, at night they sleep. And they usually hang on, big tree ferns and just chill out. Okay, very, very nice species. Now I'm gonna show you another lizard, and this one is truly, truly unique to the Cameron Highlands, critically endangered, and it's found, or at least recorded, only from the high mountains of Brinjang and Tanah Rata at Cameron Highlands, nowhere else in the world, and that is why it is critically endangered. And this is the bloodsucker, the false bloodsucker lizard. What a name, right? And this one is flavicula, means yellow throat. Can you see that? The yellow throat flap. Okay. If you have wondered why a lizard can be called a bloodsucker, do you think it will suck your blood? Why would you think a lizard be called a bloodsucker of all things, right? Okay, I don't know if you've seen this one before. Okay, this is a true bloodsucker. It's colored. This is your garden lizard, people. And if you have seen the male and during its mating season, what it will do is it will do this push up and then it will appear very red, especially around the head and the chest. And it synthesizes this red protein. And this is again sexual selection because female bloodsucker found the male very much attractive when it's like this. And it appears to people that the lizard has sucked the blood of someone else. Okay, so that is just human creativity in naming. Okay, so this is how we differentiate the false bloodsucker to the true bloodsucker. So on the right, we have the Calotes, the true bloodsucker. Can you see this vertebral, this dorsal spines? Yep, and it's much stronger and more buff compared to the false one here, right? So this is how we generally, for a very layman's term, distinguish between the true and false bloodsucker. And indeed, it is very tiny. This is the size of it, okay? The yellow throat false bloodsucker, what a name. And you can see it has many different forms. But generally, it camouflages well against the mossy background full of lichen and moss, right? Can you see the grayish white speckles and also this yellowish green, right? Very, very beautiful lizard. And I'm very, very glad that I get to observe them in the wild. And this one, I would say, even to me, it's quite rare. Okay, not many have seen this one before. Even if you go on Google image, I don't think you get many photos of this one. And the reason could be because, at least based on my experience, the false bloodsucker, they're all montane, by the way, they're all found in the high mountains. They appear to be seasonal, which means that you won't be able to find them all year round, and they seem to be more commonly encountered in certain periods of the year. So this is certainly one that is very endemic and then very critically endangered. So yeah, here we go. Now, moving on to Rina's favorite, we have the montane snakes. Now, here we have two, which are brightly colored and banded. So, can you guess which one is the venomous one? We have one that can cause you harm. Is it on the left or on the right? Red and black. One is bad.
For the first time, it's a snake question that I'm not sure of. Because to me,
Make
when
a guess, 50%,
when it's brightly colored, I'm kind of like, I just stay away if it's brightly colored because it's like a warning sign of nature.
Yeah.
However, yeah, on the left, kind of, I would definitely probably make a grab for it because it reminds me of a corn snake.
Yeah, you probably will survive because on the right, we have the black-banded coral snake, and we have talked about coral snake before. It is venomous, it has very long venom glands, and you wouldn't want to get bitten. On the left, we do have this one is called the I think it's called the red bamboo racer, and these days they call it the what is that? What man, the Superman or what the guy that with this the Iron Man, I think Iron Man snake or
Iron Man
something.
snake.
Yeah, they call it something like that. I don't know. I have no idea who those are anyways. So this one is actually not a red snake either. It belongs to its own lineage, and we'll certainly look at this one next time, okay? Many snakes which we're going to cover. And then we have slug snakes, and which I think is a misnomer actually. I have never observed the slug snakes eating slugs, but they do, and they are specialized in snails. So these snakes, they have specialized teeth to extract snails out of their shell. Can you imagine this? Okay, so they have this uneven tooth that can rake and then grab the flesh of the snail out of the snail's shell. If no hands, people, you can eat a snail. Goodness, this is the marvelous thing about slug snakes. Okay, we'll certainly talk about them in the future, but here in the Cameron Highlands, we have two species which used to be thought as one. And it's thanks to my friend Evan Grismer and his team, they separated this new species here, Lascalensis. And if you read Lord of the Rings, it's actually named after the Lascalens, the Mirkwood forest. Okay, so these are the slug snakes. And because of that, actually, there are a lot of these herpers nowadays that are telling me, oh, in Genting, we have slug snakes without red eyes, and it might be a new species. So let me ask you, have you ever wondered why some snakes or even frogs have these remarkable red eyes? And they are what? They are mostly strongly nocturnal. Okay, they are only night active. Why do you think they would have this kind of eye? That may answer the question. So look at this color wheel here. What is the complementary color of red and orange? Blue and green, isn't it? Now, if you're a night active snake, you definitely need very good eyesight, right? To see in the dark. And what happens during the day? You need to protect your eyes, isn't it? You see the relationship? So maybe these red pigments are just, a blue filter or a blue-green filter to protect the nocturnal species eye, okay, against sun damage or against very bright light. And these two, you wouldn't say them as a different species, right? It's just a spectrum, okay? Yeah. Now, we also have these reed snakes, okay, from the Cameron Highlands. There are, I think, two more species, but these two are the most common. And on the right, we have the mountain reed snake, Shuzii, which is Cameron endemic, and this one is really pretty. Can you see the glistening golden scales? Absolutely beautiful, found only in Cameron Highlands. And we have a more wide-ranging one, Chanadi, and several other rarer species, which I intend to show next time, okay? So all these reed snakes, they're tiny, about like this, and then they live in the fossorial habitat, so they almost live their entire life, secretive life, under the leaf litter. Seldom comes out unless if there is a rain or some disturbance to their micro habitat. Right, these are the reed snakes. And in the very cool mountainous streams, we also have the mountain keelbacks. And this is a semi-aquatic species that likes to prey on frogs. There are even rarer ones, but these are the sort of like the aquatic snakes of Cameron and the high mountains. We also have the mountain keelback. This one is found in around Southeast Asia. Okay, remember the Malayan pit viper?
Yeah.
Right? Something like that. Okay, it's not related, but it's just something like that up in the mountains. But this brings us to the finale and the greatest one of our show, the very snake that is named after Cameron Highlands itself, and one which I think truly represents the place. This is the Cameron Highlands pit viper, Trimeroceras nebularis. Nebula after the clouds. Okay, so it lives in the cloud forest. pit viper, venomous, and it is truly, truly beautiful. Can you see that? It has this blue lips against a jet green body with black and blue interstitial skin. Oh my gosh, this is one of the most beautiful snakes which I've seen. I honest with you, this is one of my favorites. And then it's truly iconic to the place. Think about it. Cameron Highlands. It's unique, it's beautiful, at times it can be dangerous, and it is very threatened. Okay, so this is the most iconic snake up there in the Cameron Highlands. And here is a seldomly seen juvenile male. So the juvenile male Cameron Highlands pit viper, it has this orange-red ventrolateral stripe along its flank, which fades in adulthood. Remember, we always talk about sexual dimorphism, the male and female being different. And in this case, the male and female does not have dimorphism in adults. So the male and female looks very much alike, but they can get truly large and long, I think. And being a pit viper, it is a venomous snake, and it has this unique venom delivery system called the solinoglyphous fangs, which we'll see in a bit, and which is very dangerous. This is called the most sophisticated venom delivery system evolution has ever come about. Okay, now, we humans, we have this maxilla bone holding 16 teeth in our face, right? But in the pit viper, the maxilla only holds one teeth, and that is the venom fang. And it is hinged against the roof of the mouth so that it can retract. So when the snake is resting, right, the fangs, okay, the maxilla twists inside, and then it's like resting on the back of the mouth. So when the snake strikes, the fang extends like switchblades and stabs its prey. Very, very scary, advanced, and which delivers venom deep into its prey. Now, I do have pit viper's fang, the solinoglyphous fang, to show you. And let's see if we can see it here. All right. Now, before I'm setting up, Rina, please tell people that don't go and approach and pluck fangs out of snakes, yeah? It's very dangerous.
Okay. I know it goes without saying, everybody, but looking at pictures of fangs you see right now, I think it should be enough warning for you to realize that, yes, you do not mess with vipers when you see them, when you're walking around in the forest or whatever. And now you see, oh, there's a fang right there.
Yep, there we go. So this is the fang. Focus.
There
All right.
we go.
Can you see that it's like hypodermic needle? Can you see how sharp it is? It's very hard and sharp. And can you see that it has a hole where venom can exceed? Oh, so this is the fang of a pit viper. It's I think barely the length of my fingernail, but then if this one goes into you, ooh, that's very, very bad. So this is evolution's most advanced venom delivery mechanism. So this is the fang of a pit viper, right? It's very nice, even nicer when it's not under your skin, okay? Right, there we go. Now, can you see the red highlighted
Yes,
components? Where is it? No, it's gone.
there it is.
Okay, can you see here, the red highlighted components? What do you think they are? Those are actually replacement fangs. So if you look carefully at this, the right photo here, can you see two fangs stabbing onto its prey? The one behind is a replacement fang. So the pit vipers and venomous snakes, they have this conveyor belt of fangs waiting to replace each other. And the replacement fang in this one is also venomous. Think about that. Yeah. So that's the venomous snake's killer MO. All right, done with that. And yep, this is recycled slide. Pit vipers, especially those in and around Malaysia, they have this hemotoxic venom that affects your blood. And this venom is mostly metalloproteinase. We talked about this one before. It is a kind of protein that breaks down other proteins. Okay, so the reason why it's called metallo is because it uses zinc. It needs zinc to function, and then it uses water to break down these amino acid chains that make up your protein. And they primarily affect two types of protein here. Now, this is simplified, but you can think about it as affecting two types of protein called thrombin and fibrinogen. Now, this is the snake venom being characterized by scientists. Can you see in the middle, we have this Zn? That is the zinc. So we do need a zinc to kill its prey, if you like. Okay, there we go. So if we inhibit this zinc's effect, you can actually inhibit the snake venom. So a lot of scientists are currently working on this one now. Now, this is how our body regulates blood clot, and this is how hemotoxin works. So imagine in your blood vessel, you have these red blood cells, and if you have a damage to your vessel, these two proteins, they are like first aid kits, they come in and they form a net. They cast a net that attracts red blood cells and platelets to form a blood clot. But in the presence of hemotoxin, these thrombin and fibrinogen gets messed up. So you have these tiny, unstable, not good blood clots happening all over your body. Okay, so you clot from the inside out. And depending on where these clots are, if it happens in your kidney, then you get kidney failure. If it happens in your brain, you can get a stroke. And in the worst case, in this condition called DIC, disseminated intravascular coagulopathy, all right, okay, these blood clots form everywhere in your body, and then it uses up your body's clotting ability, and then you bleed to death. So in hemotoxic snake envenomation, death is usually by internal bleeding, okay? And that causes your blood pressure to drop and your heart stops, okay? So many species of pit vipers here, they have hemotoxins. They're particularly bad for your kidney and also your blood vessels. So please don't fool with pit vipers. And remember that only anti-venom work. If you ever unlucky enough to get bitten by any of the pit vipers, don't go and, bandage it up or do anything. Just get to a government hospital. Only government hospitals stock anti-venom. And in this case, for the green pit vipers, we actually import the anti-venom from Thailand. Okay, from this white-lipped pit viper. They are cross-reactive, and if we give you in time, it can stop all the internal bleeding and all the nasty effects. We don't give you anti-venom right away. We observe you, see whether or not you develop symptoms or swelling, progression, and depending on that, we will titrate the anti-venom or whether or not it's required at all. But remember, anti-venom only binds to toxins in your bloodstream. So if you have venom in your tissue, deep in your tissue, like from the pit viper bite, you can still have local effects like necrosis or rotting, and you may end up becoming like this. So these days we see a lot of, I'm sad to say this, we see a lot of these so-called experts and influencers. They go and free handle venomous snakes, whatnot. So don't do that, okay? You don't want that to happen to you. It's not worth it. That's not how education works, at least to me, okay? Please don't free handle venomous snakes. And now we move on to the green pit vipers. You remember the Cameron Highlands pit viper is green, but we also have many other green pit vipers collectively called this green pit viper genus here. So doesn't matter. I'm going to show you the family tree of all the pit vipers around Malaysia and think about how they have diverged, okay? Remember this one we talked about before, the Regulus pit viper and the Malayan pit viper. As different as they look, they are actually more closely related to each other than to the other pit vipers. So here on the left, you see this white line, right? White dot, that is the common ancestor. Think of this as a family tree. So if they are connected together, like the Regulus pit viper and the Malayan pit viper, then they share a recent common ancestor. So the Regulus pit viper and the Malayan pit viper are more related to each other than they are to the rest. And the rest are these mountain pit viper, you see, it belongs to a lineage of its own. And then this palm pit viper with this very long snout, we'll talk about this one, is most closely related to our green pit vipers. And oh boy, it's complicated, isn't it? We have many that strictly speaking can fall into this Trimerosaurus or this green pit viper complex. Now, I'm not going to go into detail about all this, but I want you to realize this, okay? Instead of explaining all the subgenus and all these Latin names that may not make any sense to you, let's look at how these snakes diverge and what kind of habitat they live in. Here we go. Now, we do have one that takes over the cave and karst limestone cave, and they're usually small. And this is actually a new species, the ciliaris, recently described. And remember our mangrove pit viper, where does it live? In the mangrove. And here we have green pit vipers that predominantly lives in lowland, less than 800 meters above sea level. And then we have this one here, which primarily found in the lower montane forest, and then the Cameron Highlands pit viper, which is a true upper montane specialist. So what kind of tendency you can see here? This is like work, like humans, we take on different work environment, we work different jobs. This is niche partitioning. So this is what is driving, the pit viper is a very successful group. So it has conquered or take over different niche in the ecosystem, okay? In a different habitat, we have its own pit vipers. And this is what is driving the diversification of this group of very successful green pit viper genus, Trimeroceras, okay? Think about it. Now, here's one from Fraser's Hill. Do you think this is a Cameron Highlands pit viper? Well, a lot of experts again told me if you look at it, the eye is yellow and therefore it is not a nebularis. Is that true? Well, as I said, I am not a snake expert. So whenever I am in doubt, and so should you, always ask a herpetologist, okay? These are the experts. And you see how the experts work. They are very systematic and scientific. You never identify closely resembling species with one trait alone. So here you see in the original description of the Cameron Highlands pit viper, okay, we need many different morphological characteristics like the subcauda scale count, the head scale count, and then we look at the tail, we look at the eye, we look at the stripes, all right? So this is one way to tell, which I find quite convincing, or at least for this group of very closely resembling snakes to tell apart Cameron Highlands pit viper. Firstly, it has a very broad head. Okay, green eyes, yes, but then these two alone are not enough to tell between the species. And for the Cameron Highlands pit viper, it does have a very sharp border between the red and the green areas around its tail. And we'll look into that just in a moment. Okay, so the one just now, indeed, it is not a Cameron Highlands pit viper. Now, there are many claims that the Cameron Highlands pit viper occurs in Fraser's Hill as well, but then as far as I know, it's never been formally recorded. So to me, at least, the Cameron Highlands pit viper is only found or recorded endemic to the high mountains of Cameron Highlands and Genting. Yes, it occurs in Genting above 1,500 meters sea level. That makes it truly endemic to the high mountains, and therefore it is vulnerable, IUCN, to human disturbance and habitat loss. All right, this is a enigmatic and most symbolic species, which we will look at right now. Okay, now while I'm gonna try and gently. I'm very lucky that I was sponsored a tiny specimen for me to show. Of course, it will go back to where it belongs. We're very lucky to be able to see this species in the lecture hall, and then yeah. So while I'm trying to set up, I think I need a minute or so or two. Okay, Rina is going to help me out with this very, very important disclaimer with a venomous snake and also an endangered species. And after that, we'll look at this challenge. I'm going to give you the answer and see whether or not you have identified it or found your trapdoors. Okay, so Rina, off to you. I'll go again prepare
Yes,
for
go.
the
Okay, everyone, as usual, for Wild, Weird, and Wonderful, we also have the D at the end, which means dangerous. And so we always have these experiments and demonstrations. And of course, when we talk about animals, Dr. Chan always brings one of my favorite animals out, which are the snakes. And so to tell you again and just repeat it, especially for the young ones who are watching out there, if you do encounter a viper, please do not try to engage with it, poke it, try to carry it home. What you're going to see how Dr. Chan handles snakes later, it's because he has had years of experience. He's also extremely careful and familiar with venomous species of snakes, okay? Please do not try to replicate whatever you see at home. And if you live in Pahang and near Cameron Highlands, this is not your cue to go out into the forest just to, go ahead and catch what you can. Please don't do it. Okay, so just now he asked you if you could find the trapdoors, and I certainly did not see this many. However, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Actually,
There's 9.
there's 10.
10. Oh, wait, there's a
Actually.
tiny
So
one
yeah, this
too.
is a trick question, really. So there's more
Oh my
than.
goodness. Imagine walking around a forest and never even knowing that you stepped on one, you know? That's quite amazing. Also,
No,
that
no,
they're
you
not
won't
very
step
big.
on one. They are only almost ever found around the mud bank. Don't worry, you won't step on it. But then because there's this mud slides around the mud banks, they tend to go extinct faster than we realize.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
We just try to not done, but then we just try to make things safer a bit. Right.
I'm sure you have some questions out there at home.
Mm.
You can always pop them in the comments section. And as usual, Dr. Chan will take a look in the comment section after we've finished, and then he will respond to you if you ask the cool question.
Okay.
Ooh,
The
here
next
comes the
thing is,
camera.
all
Okay,
right.
let's see this little buddy.
Yep, this is a little buddy, and that's good enough. I cannot imagine bringing in a large snake. Can you see that? This is the
Wow.
Cameron
Oh, wow.
Highlands.
Okay. It's not as fluorescent
But
green as
then
I
it's not in
imagined.
the best of its coloration because can you see the eye? There we go. It's
Okay.
grayish. This
Milky.
snake happens to be in the
Shed.
process of going to molt or shed its skin. All right. So again, you see the Cameron Highlands pit viper. It has a very broad head, very beautiful green, but unfortunately not now. Maybe I'll share another photo after it has shed its skin. That will be so much nicer. Can you see the bottom of the snake? Can you see that white ventrolateral stripe? So
Yes.
this is a juvenile specimen, and then this is the juvenile female. It is not red, and there it is. Very beautiful and very chilled. You remember last time we talked about the mangrove pit viper, which was
Yes.
kind of crazy, tried to attack me and whatnot. This is so chilled. Can you see the, let me try to show, can you see the tail there? That's a
Yes.
prehensile tail. It's grabbing onto the twigs, and this is an arboreal snake. It lives mostly coiled up and resting on the trees and branches, and that is why it has this primarily cryptic green coloration. So let me see if I can move it
So these are
around.
usually on the higher parts of like
You
higher
see
elevation, right?
Yeah. So this one definitely will have to be returned to where it belongs. You see, it's quite chill. That's good. I'm trying to very gently. Now, the reason why you see can you see the eyes? Okay, the eyes are really milky and chalky, and that's because when the snake is about to shed its skin, okay, it secretes this lymphatic fluid with enzymes to help to dislodge the old skin. That includes the skin surrounding the eyes. Snakes do not have eyelids, right? But then they have this eye cap that protects the eye, and which is a specialized kind of skin, and that gets shed as well. So that is why the eye is grayish brown, and the snake is not in its best of coloration. Let me see if I can show you the. Ooh, hello. I can show you its blue lips. Maybe not. You can see the little. Can you see that? Light shade of blue after it molts, definitely will be stunning. But then I will release a little. Okay, so
Okay.
the Cameron Highlands pit viper. I'm trying to show you it's let me see the wall. So when snakes are shedding its skin, good. Okay, move a little. Thank you. Okay, let's on. This is so much nicer than can you see the black interstitial skin over there? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so this is how you usually encounter them. There we go. Oh, this is awesome. This is one of my favorite snakes, people. Okay, now I'm gonna show you its look at the tail, yeah? The sharp border between the red and the green. about to happen. There we go. Can you see that? So this is one of the defining characteristics of species. Can you see that? The contrast between the red and the green is very strong. There we go. There. Ooh, there we go. Can you see that?
Yeah.
So this is Cameron Highlands pit viper, and now it's in a really, really nice position for me to show you its ventral side. Can you see the more or less the blue lips now? A little, okay. Not the
Barely,
best
but I don't
quality.
really want you to go closer.
No, it's okay. Don't worry. Can you see the pit of the pit viper?
Yes.
There we go. Between the nostril and the eye, that is the loreal pit. So this is the Cameron Highlands pit viper people. This is an endangered species, very beautiful. We have a juvenile female, can't get any better. In fact, juveniles are harder to come by than the adults. We have seen the adults many times, but juveniles less so. And there we are. I think we are the first to showcase this species live. Oh, very nice. Very inquisitive, but then this is a pit viper, so you certainly wouldn't want to get bitten by it. And here, I'm based in Penang. If I get bitten, I don't know what will happen to me. So definitely, I'm not taking any more chances than I need to. So any question with that? Let me see if I can make them pop up.
Yeah, I'm sure one of the questions that will pop up or already has popped up is, if it bites you, how potent is the venom? Is it very potent? Will it kill you?
For this one, because it's a small snake, I'm quite a big guy, so it may not be able to kill me, but then most certainly it will cause a lot of issues, a lot of pain and swelling, and maybe some local tissue damage, and it will mess up my blood and maybe my kidney. So it may not be fatal, but it's certainly not something you want to get bitten by. And I do know quite some anecdotal reports that people got bitten by these in captivity, I think from Singapore. They do not suffer a lot, just pain and a little bit of swelling. And that might be because of the keeping conditions and the snake generally being nice to you, okay? So I've heard from locals from Cameroon, they actually drag this snake, and they tell me, at least the Orang Asli, they tell me that the Cameron Highlands pit viper is certainly capable of killing a human. So this is a venomous snake that must be taken seriously. And in fact, based on my experience with this group of snakes, especially in its natural environment, it has a very long reach, which means that this snake, when it strikes, it can strike longer than, say, the mangrove pit viper. And it has a very, very long fangs that you're seeing just now, okay? In fact, among the pit vipers, I think this fellow's fang is one of the longest, okay? It may have to do with its ability to capture birds or, small mammals like moon rat, right? Up in the montane forest, okay? So, yeah, the venomous snake, you see, it's very inquisitive. It's giving off this inquisitive, tongue flickering behavior. It's trying to figure out what I am. And now that my phone is heating up, it's sensing my heat signals. It's not as aggressive. I don't think it's trying to attack. I don't think it will. It's just trying to figure out, hey, what is this? Where am I? And what am I doing here? So thank you very much to this very beautiful snake, the Cameron Highlands pit viper. I need to,
Put him
put him back to where he belongs. And then after this, I will make a trip up there and he goes free. All right?
All
So
right.
there we go.
Okay. So let's have Dr. Chan slowly.
Last look at the Cameron Highlands pit viper. Here we go.
Wow, look at that.
Very, very
Most of us
beautiful.
won't really have a chance to see. We probably won't look up into the trees when we go through the forest, but next time maybe look up.
All right.
Something might fall on you.
So let's back to this one. So give me a minute or two to safely,
Okay, that was really interesting to look at that. It's very nice to always encounter a species that most of us might not even have a chance to see, even though it's probably, imagine this taking a walk around Cameron Highlands, in the moss forest or whatever, and then suddenly not being able to spot a snake. Well, maybe you need to just stay still in a forest and observe the trees, and maybe if you look long enough you might see a lot more things, maybe not a snake, but certainly spiders and lizards and all sorts of other fun things. At night, you might spot some moths as well. So, yeah, hopefully this might inspire you. The next time you walk into Cameron Highlands, it's not just for, having tea, eating strawberries, but to actually walk in their forest and experience nature there. It's really quite remarkable and very, very different. And you'll see all sorts of wonderful things. I hope Dr. Chan is okay. Doctor, are you okay? Let's just wait for him. He has to take his time. He's dealing with a viper. He needs to be gentle. So yeah,
We
what you
are
see on
back.
the screen. Okay, good.
Okay, so
Glad.
this is a big question. There are 10, so you got to squint to find out. And that goes to show how fragile this ecosystem really is. So with that, I think we're coming near, or at least to the end of my talk about the Cameron Highlands. And you do realize that this is a unique habitat which really showcases biodiversity. May it be silk moths, spiders, snakes, or mantids. Okay, we'll certainly talk about this group next time. And beetles, katydids, whatnot. This is, to me, a most beautiful place, which also means it is most threatened. Okay, wherever I go, okay, I've been exploring Cameron Highlands for, I think, a decade or so. Wherever I go, there is destruction, pollution, landslides, and sights like these that truly breaks my heart. Okay, this is the sad state of what we are doing to this beautiful place. And the worst of all has got to be this. This is the deadly invasive species which I talked about. It's called the mist flower ageratina. I will dedicate an entire series to invasive species in the future, but this is the one that is truly jeopardizing the native habitat of the Cameron Highlands, and no one is even aware, or not many are aware or are doing anything about it. And the reason why it is so dangerous is because this plant, it secretes toxins out of its root into the soil, and it kills its competitors. So can you see the serrated leaves here? The green one, the healthy ones, is the invasive species, and you see the oxalis, the triangles one. They are suffering, they are dying. And remember the begonia and all this, they all died because of this. And when this plant takes over, it has very shallow roots. Okay, so it will, facilitate landslides and whatnot, and it's really a sad set of affairs. And because of this toxic effects, it's called allelopathy, by the way, this invasive species can take over an entire patch of habitat. You see that? That's a monoculture, and it's gone. Okay, it's doomed. So wherever we humans go, this plant follows, and the native plants, native animals, they die out. I have not known of a single natural predators that consistently eats this plant. And this is a ecological disaster that is happening every day in Cameron Highlands, and no one knows what to do and is doing anything about it. So I'm bringing this up. I hope maybe some of you who are watching who has any idea, maybe we can come together and think about what to do. Okay, this is very serious. I am still working with some, researchers on trying to figure out what to do. And this is also a dangerous invasive species, I think, in New Zealand and elsewhere. They actually introduce a biocontrol agent, a fungus, to target this plant. Maybe we can do something like that, but that requires more assessments and things. So this is what is happening, people. It's very
Wow.
sad, okay? And despite all these atrocities that we are doing, the wild, weird, and wonderful still hangs on the edge. And I think, happy birthday to David Attenborough. And I think he said something really remarkable. No one will protect what they don't care about, and no one will care about what they have never experienced. So here I am sharing with you my experience with all the wild, weird, and wonderful of the Cameron Highlands, and I hope you enjoy it and you go back with this message about think about what we do and what we can do. Okay? So there will be a part two, but for now, thank you very much to the Free Trade Society for hosting me. Thank you very much to all my co-authors, mentors, collaborators, and especially so to two of my great seafoods out there in the Cameron Highlands who have sponsored many of the plants and animals. Thank you very much, Siva and Mr. Stan. So till then, I will see you in December where we talk about something even more
Oh,
exciting.
oh
Okay?
my goodness.
So let's
I
hope
can't
this
wait.
happens, okay? We do have a lot of good stuff this year. So until then, I guess stay curious, stay wild. As I always say, you don't need to be a scientist to study or appreciate nature. You just need to have a curious heart, okay? To ask questions, to do experiments. And if so, the wild, weird, and wonderful will always be by your side. Okay, that's it, people.
All
So have
right.
a good night.
Thank you
Thank
so
you. All
much.
right.
Thank you so much, Dr. Chan, and thank you so
Yeah,
much for watching
to
out
the
there. And
snakes.
remember, you can watch this video again and again if you missed some of the parts. You want to share this and watch this. If you think somebody would be appreciative of this video or learning from it, it might inspire future biologists or phytochemists of the future. You never know. Yeah, share it with
I
your
hope
kids.
so.
All right. Well,
I do have quite many PMs and people coming to me asking very deep questions, and I do appreciate that. And that is why I decided to, support you all in doing all this. I think it to a good cause, yeah. So in conjunction with I think the World Environment Day, yeah, this is a good talk, I suppose, with the, lesser known, lesser explored, and underappreciated misty mountains of the Cameron Highlands. Yeah, it's one of my favorite place, really. I plan to retire there someday. Yeah.
that'll be good. We can go fight for Cameron Highlands together. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, everybody, and good night.
Yeah. Good night.